Are you waiting for the perfect moment to begin? Do you feel like you're not ready? That you need to have it all figured out before you start? Do you feel as though you need a little bit more preparation, skill, or confidence? I'm here to tell you that I felt that same exact way when I was beginning my journey. And when I reached out to a real estate investor, he gave me a very cryptic piece of advice. But it was very true. And when I look back on my life, I see how true it was and how good of a piece of advice that it was. And what happened was when I identified this real estate investor, he was a client of mine. And he came to me and he asked me, are you looking to expand? Do you want to expand your business? Do you want to open up a second location on the other side of town? And I was like, I'm not really looking to open up a second location. Why do you ask? He said, well, I have this piece of property that's under contract, and I'm looking to fill it with new tenants. I said, oh, I'd love to bring you a tenant, but I'm not looking to expand myself. What I am looking to do, though, is I'm looking to get into real estate investing. Can we go to lunch one day? And when I asked him how I should start, he said, just start. Hold on a sec. I'm asking you for advice. I'm asking you to give me direction, to tell me what the next step is. And you're telling me just to start? It's like, yeah, just start. That's the key to it. Just start. I thought about that for a second. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, that seems a little broad. And he's like, it doesn't matter what you do right now. You have to start taking steps forward. I had some foundation. And he saw that through the conversation that we had. This wasn't the first question I asked him. We had a conversation. We went to lunch, we sat down, we were talking. And when I asked him, like, where should I start? At that point, I could start just about anywhere. I just had to get the momentum going. And that's what he really meant by just start. And I saw that when I was looking to do my real estate out of state. I had to pick a market. And I was going over so much information, job stats, who the biggest employer was, how much of the job marketplace did that one employer control, what was the economic growth, the economic outlook, how much was rents per door, was this a cash flow market or an appreciation market, how many doors were they planning on bringing online? How many doors would they fill in per year? What was the population growth? I would call it just slipped out of my mind. I would call the township and I would ask them, what is your plan for the area? Like, how are you growing the area? What infrastructure do you have in the pipeline? I was doing all of this research. And I came down to 5 markets. And I'm sitting there and I'm like squinting. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know which one to pick. These are all really good. I don't want to make a mistake. Because I'm thinking, if I make a mistake, if I pick the wrong market, I'm going to lose my shirt. Right? What's the one thing they tell you about real estate? It's location, location, location. And here I'm picking the location. Side note, you can make money in lots of different places. Sometimes you just have to niche down within that market. But anyway, the wife comes in and she finally had enough of me bickering and complaining and sweating. She said to me, just pick a market. I'm like, what? She's like, you've done all of your research, right? You've read all the publications, you made all the phone calls, you talked to all the people. Do you have 5 solid markets? Yeah, I really like these 5 markets. Okay. Are you going to prosper in any of these 5 markets? Yeah, these are really strong markets that are growing. All right, then just pick a market. Just pick a market. This way you could get past this hurdle and start moving forward. You could start calling brokers in that market. You could start visiting that market. You could start making connections in that market. Nothing's going to happen until you pick a market. And you have 5 really strong markets. Just pick one. That's just start. I was hitting that wall, and I had started, but my momentum was waning. Now, just pick one. Same thing happened when I started my preschool. When I first started my preschool, we founded the preschool. Mom and pop operation from the start. It was a blank canvas. We did everything. But we had no clue what we were doing back then. We didn't know anything about business. We didn't know anything about preschools or mommy and me centers. We just knew that there was a problem in our county. And that problem was moms, stay-at-home moms, had nothing to do with their children besides take them to the park. We live in a rural area, great outdoor activities, but there was nothing for the wintertime. There was nothing for rainy days. There was nothing for times when you didn't want to be outside. So we started a mommy and me center. And you got to bring your kids there, and you could participate in activities with your children. The thing is, we didn't know what all the regulations were. We didn't know how to start a business, right? You have to find the place. You have to then advertise in a newspaper. You have to go to the board of supervisors. You got to get their permission. You have to see if the community has any concerns and then address those concerns. You have to make sure that there's enough parking spots for the amount of cars that are going to come to your location. Like, there's all these things that we didn't even think about. And then after we get through all of those hoops, it's marketing, it's regulations. In the state of Pennsylvania, you can't just watch somebody's kid. Like, the parents can't just drop their kids off and go running off. So now we have to address that. We have to make sure that the parents know that they have to stay. They can either participate with their child, or they can sit in a waiting area and watch. My entire center has half walls so that the parents can see and participate if they so choose. Or, back then, it was about getting stay-at-home moms out of the house so that they could have a conversation with somebody other than a 2-year-old. They could talk to other moms, other adults during the day. That was part of it. But the point being is, I had to make phone calls to find out what all of these rules were. Just start. Start with one phone call. Because I would make one phone call and I would talk to one state agency and say, this is what I'm looking to do. And they would be like, all right, you have to call this person. You have to call this person. You have to call this person. And that chain, I would make 20 phone calls before I found the one person I had to talk to that had the answer. But that was the process. Just start. Get the momentum behind you. It happened again when I wanted to go from a mommy and me center where the moms were hanging out to a preschool environment where now moms could drop their kids off and go off to work. So now I was physically caring for the kid. All sorts of new regulations. And I had no clue how that was going to work out. What I do, I leaned on just start. Just start. Just make one phone call. Because that one phone call is going to lead you to either the answer or someone that may have the answer. And it's just a continuous cycle of finding the problem, identifying the problem, and then going out and solving the problem. When I was in PD, this is a really good story too about just starting. I had started when I was 16 years old, the application process to PD. And in that process, they would call me looking to hire me. And I would go down and they would say, nope, you're still too young. You'll be recycled was the phrase they used. You'll be recycled. So it just meant that my name was going to be put on the bottom. And when it came around again, they would call me down. I did that 3 times because I started at 16. They wouldn't even look at me until I was 19. So 3 times I went down and they said, "Oh, you're recycled, come back. You're recycled, come back." I can distinctly remember standing on the platform of the train and thinking to myself, why am I doing this? I'm just wasting my time. Like, I'm just going to go down there and they're not going to hire me. They're going to tell me to come back again. But if I didn't start that process, I would have never continued on. So just starting that process gave me the momentum to go down each time. And then I became a police officer. In the fire department, it happened to me again, right? Just start. How did I become a lieutenant in the fire department with practically no time on the job? Because I just started. I opened that book and I read every possible thing I could, every possible waking moment I had, and I internalized it emotionally. And I went out to the field and I applied it. So when I read something in a book, when we were out on a run, I would ask the senior fireman or the lieutenant or the captain I was working with, it says this in the book, that building looks like this description, is that it? And I started just absorbing all the information I could. But the point is, I just started. Newton's law says that an object in motion tends to stay in motion, right? An object in motion will continue in motion until it hits a wall or it's disturbed in some other way. That's what I was doing. I was starting that motion and I was continuing that motion. And that's what just starting does. So if there's an endeavor out there that you're looking to do, if there's something that you have a goal and you're not sure exactly how to do it, just start. First thing we start with is education, right? We start getting the vocabulary down. We don't want to call a real estate investor and ask them, how do I start in real estate investing? And you don't know anything about it. So you have to build out your education in some facet, right? So you call that real estate investor and he tells you build out your education. Learn terminology. Understand the macro view of what real estate investing is, what we're looking to do. And real estate investing, you can create cash flow in lots of different ways. For me, it's finding properties that are deferred maintained, right? So the gutters are hanging off, the parking lot's all messed up. It's a 1990s build and it's original. Nobody's gone in there and updated any of the apartments. Deferred maintenance. And then I bring those properties up to market value so that I can charge market rents so that those properties are clean and safe and can provide a home for someone that needs a place to live. That's what I do in real estate. There's plenty of other ways, but identifying, so after you learn terminology, identifying what aspect of real estate you want to actually perform. Small little actions. Then we start calling brokers. Then we start doing market analysis. As you start the process, and that process could be as simple as opening a book or going to a local real estate meetup. It could be any action. As long as you're starting to move towards that, just start. Don't sit in your chair just staring at a screen, absorbing information. Go out there and start. I didn't know what to do, but I knew that I wanted to be a real estate investor, so I had to move in a certain direction. And now I know that I want to have an impact on people's lives, so I'm doing 100 videos in 100 days. We're at 90-something today. 100 videos in 100 days so that I can inspire individuals to just get up and move and do things. Change the course of your life. Sneak one past the goalie being the subconscious mind. But just start. Because when you just start, you build that momentum. Teddy Roosevelt says it the best. He talks about being in the arena and getting bloodied and scarred and sweaty and muddy and dirty. When you just start, when you just take action and you're in the arena and you're getting bloodied and you're getting beat up, you're identifying the next step. Nobody said it was going to be easy. I'm not sitting here telling you it's going to be easy, but I am telling you it's worth it. It's worth it from the financial freedom aspect. It's worth it from the time freedom aspect. And it's worth it from, I basically get to set my schedule. I set my work schedule so that I can spend the ultimate amount of time with my family. That is why I do what I do. And that's why I want you guys to go out there and just start whatever the direction is that you believe you have to move in. Start moving in that direction. And then the light will illuminate the next step that you have to take. A car going down the highway can only illuminate, the headlights can only illuminate so far. Yet you trust that the road's still going to be there ahead of you, so you continue down the roadway. Just starting's the same thing. You can only see a little bit of where you're supposed to go. Head in that direction. When you get there, a new light will come on. You will have identified what the next step is. And that's how you cross the lily pads of life. That's how you take the steps of life. The steps begin, see, be the third pig? Each one's indented. It shows each step of life. That's how you do it. You can't identify step 10 when you're only on step 1. But you will identify step 2. And then 3 and 4 and 5. Guys, I just want you to think about this. What is the one small action you're going to take right now so that you could start moving the needle and get started? How will you start right now? Let's go. We live in the numerator, not the denominator. Be unstoppable and absolutely crush your day. Guys, I love spending time with you. Have a very blessed day.